Hello and welcome back to another video of mine. My name is Kizzy and if you're new to my channel, I talk about books. So welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. So today I've got a video that is probably more for my interest than yours. However, I do think you'll hopefully discover some new books, or I don't know, maybe you can give me some advice on these books instead, because I'm going to do my 5-star predictions today, and I've never done a video like this before and I've never really done this before. I do try and not predict books because I am someone that overhypes books quite a lot in my head and I build them up, and then when I get to them, if they let me down, then it's sad. So I try not to do that, but there are certain books that I do think will be really good and I just kind of want to see if I'm right. So this is me putting it down on paper, on video, and kind of just predicting what my 5-star reads will be. So I have 5 books here, and just to be kind of responsible for once, I'm not mentioning any books that I haven't either bought or pre-ordered. So I all kind of own these books anyway. Some books I am really looking forward to, however I don't own them or I haven't pre-ordered them. So that's why they're not on this list. But I've just got 5 books here today, so I hope you enjoy this video. And if you know any of these books, let me know what you thought and whether or not you think they will be 5-star reads. I am someone that is quite picky with my 5-star reads. I do not give them out very often. Most of my books fall in 3-star or 4-star category, and then if a book is just amazing and it gives you that 5-star feel, it will get a 5-star. So that doesn't happen very often because there's not really anything I can pinpoint in a book that kind of gives me that feeling, but it is just, you just know when you know. I'm sounding like such a soppy person right now because we're just talking about books, not the love of your life or anything like that, but when you know, you know. The first 2 books I do have with me physically, the other one is up at my uni accommodation and the other 2 are pre-orders, so obviously I don't have them yet. But starting with the ones I do actually have with me here, the first one is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. So I've read one book by Brandon Sanderson and listened to half of another audiobook of his. However, his worlds are quite complex. I read The Way of Kings on audiobook, and that is quite a big book anyway, with a lot going on, many points of view, many characters. I just think it would have been better to read it in physical form where I could annotate it, note things down and all that good stuff. So I did stop listening to it on audiobook, not because it was a bad book, but because I would prefer to read it in physical form. And then I read last month Elantris by Brandon Sanderson and absolutely loved it. That was a 5-star read. So hopefully this will be a 5-star read. I will be reading it next month for the Cosmere Along that Rachel Marie is hosting, so that's exciting. I will be getting to it soon. I've had this book on my shelf for so long. I've been meaning to read Brandon Sanderson for years now, and it's only this year that I got around to doing it. So I'm hoping this will be a 5-star read. So for those that don't know, this book follows a world where the evil person has won. So the villain of every story, if you think of them, they're the person that's won, and it's kind of the aftermath of that instead, which is really interesting because you don't really ever see that kind of happen. It maybe does during the course of a trilogy, but it never starts at that point. And the magic system revolves around metals, I believe. So the different types of metals you consume and the different powers that you have. I believe that's this story. I could be completely wrong. And yeah, it just sounds interesting, and it's not... it's like 600 pages, so it's quite big, it's quite chunky, but I'm looking forward to it. So the next book I have just started reading it, and I'm 10 pages in, so it might be a little bit of a cheat, but I don't think you can judge an 800-page book on the first 10 pages because there's still 790 pages to go. And that book is Crescent City, or House of Blood and Earth by Sarah J Maas. So this is a risky 5-star read for me because I absolutely loved Throne of Glass. Loved it. One of my favourite series. I think all those people that have stopped halfway through need to finish it because the last book it's one of my favourite series. I loved it. Loved the romance, the action, the kind of world, the development of the characters. I just really enjoyed it. It was one of the first fantasy series that I ever read, and it's what kind of got me into the genre, which is always nice because it's now the only thing I pretty much read. But, however, I did not like A Court of Thorns and Roses and that whole trilogy. I mean, I didn't dislike the later books. I didn't like the first book at all. It just was meh. It didn't do anything for me. I would never reread it, which I know is a shame because it's a lot of people's favourite series, and I definitely wouldn't want to dissuade people from reading it if you did enjoy Throne of Glass. People did love it, so definitely give it a go if you're wanting to. I just didn't get on with it as much as I did with Throne of Glass. So this is a risky 5-star prediction for me, because if it's like Throne of Glass vibes, I will get on with it. If it's more Court of Thorns and Roses, maybe I won't like it as much. This is the special edition for the UK tour, so I'm not sure if you can actually get this edition anymore. Waterstones do have a separate edition as well, where it's the normal edition but it has red sprayed edges, which I'm very much debating on buying as well. However, if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to spend that much money on it, but if I do enjoy it, I will be getting that edition. So obviously the tour didn't go ahead because of coronavirus, which is sad, but those that did buy a ticket were able to purchase the book that was going to be given at that point. So I did manage to get my hands on it, which is very lucky, because it goes really well with the special edition of Throne of Glass, and I think they did do one of Court and Thorns and Roses, but I didn't bother purchasing that one for the reasons that I just mentioned. But yes, this is big, so there should be a lot to love. A lot of people have raved about it. I've not watched any reaction videos yet just because I didn't want to be spoiled at all, and I think even if people don't mention what happens in the book, their emotions and kind of feelings can kind of put a bit pressure on the book, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to put too much pressure on it, even though I'm predicting it's going to be 5 stars, but we're just going to see what it's like. It's an urban fantasy, so it's set in the real world. However, it's set in the real world where elves and fae and werewolves and vampires are actually real people that just walk around. They're not anything to be afraid of, or not necessarily afraid of. They don't hide, and they all, well, I don't know if they all live in this one city, but currently the main character is living in a city where they all live, and the werewolves are kind of like the police of it, and we'll see how that goes. She is half fae, half human, the main character, and there is a little bit of a romance brewing already in it, which is exciting because I have missed the romance side of fantasy, because a lot of the fantasy I've read at the moment is quite heavy, just political fantasy and plot more than character focused. So definitely interested to just break it up a bit and read a kind of slightly different genre of fantasy and see how this goes. So 5 stars, predicted. So the remainder of the books I don't actually have with me, so I'll just pop a picture up here or here, whichever one I decide, and tell you about them. So the next book I do physically own, it's just up in my uni accommodation, and I have no idea when I'm going to be able to get it, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to go back, because everything has gone weird in the world. So that is Legacy of Ash, and I just bought this. Actually, I just hauled it in a mini haul, like there was 2 books, so it wasn't a really big haul, in my reading vlog that I did a few weeks ago, so I'll link it somewhere if you want to see me opening it and see what it actually looks like in the physical form. But this is another massive book, and I, 1, fell in love with the cover of it, which is why I actually looked into it, and 2, it is meant to be an incredible, it's a debut novel, so we shall see how that goes. But who says a debut novel can't be 5 stars? It's been likened to Game of Thrones, however some people disagree with that, so I'm not really sure what the vibe is there, but it looks cool, so I'm gonna give it 5 stars prediction. How shallow is that? But let me Google what it is so I can tell you a little bit about it. I'll just read you the Goodreads kind of summary. In this action-packed epic fantasy debut, 3 heroes scarred by old hatreds must find a way to overcome their past if they are to have a chance at saving the crumbling Republic from complete destruction. Perfect for fans of George R.R. Martin, Brent Weeks and Brandon Sanderson. Ooh, Brandon Sanderson, ticking a box there. A shadow has fallen over the Tresian Republic. While the armies of the Hadiri Empire invade the borderlands, the Republic's noble families plot against each other, divided by personal ambition. But as Teresa falls, heroes rise. Oh my god, fantasy names bug me. Victor Akadra is the Republic's champion and conqueror of the rebellious South. A warrior without equal, he also hides a secret that would see him burned as a heretic. Intriguing. Jasiri Trillan would gladly see Victor condemned to the flames, vengeance for a rebellion crushed and a mother slain. And while Jasiri plots fresh insurrection, is that a word? I don't know what that word means, but there we go. His sister Colleen is determined to escape their tarnished legacy and break the shackles of the past. As dark days beckon, these 3 must overcome the differences to save the Republic, yet decades of bad blood are not easily set aside. Victory, if it comes at all, will command a higher price that they could not have imagined. So it sounds quite good. Sorry, my reading is terrible, but we can all have a little bit of amusement from that. So the next book I have, or the next 2 books I have, are all pre-orders that I've ordered. The first is the 3rd in a series, so we've got good hopes there, and the second is one I've not heard much about, but it sounds cool, so rolling with it. The first one is Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty, and that is the third in the City of Brass series. I don't have City of Brass with me, but I do have Kingdom of Copper, so these are what the UK editions kind of look like. So City of Brass is the same but like blue. This blew my mind away when I read City of Brass. It was amazing. I raved about it for everyone. I made my boyfriend read it and he loved it too. He struggled to get through Kingdom of Copper. I think he still hasn't actually finished it yet. It's taken him like since summer, which I get is a completely different vibe than the first book. It's like 5 years later, so it kind of is a bit different. I enjoyed it still. I think I gave this 4 stars instead of 5 stars, but I do think the finale will be amazing. It's still one of my favourite series. I hope it continues into the third book. You definitely should read City of Brass. One of my favourite books. I would really love to reread it before Empire of Gold comes out, so I might do like a mini readathon if people would be interested to catch up with the series and refresh the mind before the next book is out. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. If you're not, then don't bother. It's fine. So for those that don't know, this follows a girl who is living in Cairo. It's based on Egyptian mythology, I believe. And the main character is living in Cairo. She kind of is a witch doctor kind of esque person who predicts people's deaths and is a bit of a con. She's a bit of a con artist. She uses it to advantage to make more money than she probably should and to rob people, I think. But you don't spend much time there because she quickly finds out that actually she's something quite different, and she's actually part jinn, or she's someone related to the jinn, and she's actually a kind of ancient healer that is part of their society. So she ends up going to the City of Brass, and kind of finding out what's happening there, but it's all gone a bit wrong. They had a big rebellion a few thousand years ago, I think, and it's still kind of all a bit up in the air. So I'm doing a terrible description of what that is, but it's amazing, so you should read it anyway. So if I show you, I don't know if you can actually see it. I keep showing people things in books and then you can't actually see it on the screen. As you can see, there's different quarters, so there's different kinds of jinn. Are they all jinn? Or just magic people? I don't actually know. I don't know. It's been so long since I read it. Definitely will be doing a mini reread of it so I can refresh the mind. And they all kind of don't, like, they live cohesively, but they don't live cohesively because they're all separate quarters, and there's a lot of tension. It's quite politically heavy, but it doesn't feel like it is. It just feels like part of the plot, and I liked it. Maybe you'll like it. It's funny, there is a romance in it. I really don't like the main guy, don't get it, whereas my boyfriend read it and he absolutely loved him. He's like his hero, so interesting. I wonder what people will think about that, but yes, we'll be doing a reread of it. So that's the 5-star prediction, is the third book in this series, Empire of Gold. Can't wait, and the covers are beautiful, so can't wait for that too. And then the final book that I have for you today is one that I saw on Instagram because someone had an arc of it and the arc looked amazing, and she said it sounded amazing, and it did sound amazing, so I pre-ordered it. And that is A Court of Miracles. So this was giving me kind of Night Circus vibes. I don't know if it's just because of the title and that reminds me of like the kind of carnival thing, but it sounded interesting. So I shall read you the Goodreads thing for it. It's described as Les Miserables meets Six of Crows. I love Six of Crows, so we're going good. In this page-turning adventure, as a young thief finds herself head-to-head with leaders of Paris's criminal underworld in the wake of the French Revolution. So, in the violent urban jungle of an alternative 1828 Paris, the French Revolution has failed, and the city is divided between merciless royalty and the 9 underworld criminal guilds, known as the Court of Miracles. Epony, or Nina Theandere, is a talented cat burglar and member of the Thieves Guild. Nina's life is midnight robberies, avoiding her father's fists and watching over her naive adopted sister Cosette, or Etty. When Etty attracts the eye of the tiger, the ruthless lord of the Guild of Flesh, Nina is caught in a desperate race to keep her younger sister safe. Her vow takes her from the city's dark underbelly to the glittering court of Louis... I'm gonna go 17. I'll put the numeral here. That sounds pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds pretty good. Like, that sounds exciting. That sounds right up my street. I think I'm gonna love it. I would recommend it. I can't recommend it because I haven't read it yet, but I will hopefully be recommending it. So yeah, that sounds good. I've ordered it. I can't wait for it. When does that come out? Let me have a look. The 4th of June, so not for forever. Oh no. And it's going to York. Okay, we're gonna have to cancel the pre-order and reorder the pre-order. Yes. and have it sent here instead. But that's my problem, not your problem. We don't need to go over that here. So yes, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you enjoyed me and the books that I've talked about or the kind of stuff that I do, please subscribe, as I would love you for it. And apart from that, I shall see you in the next video.